Hello again, this is Chris Islip from the Montana World Affairs Council, and this is What, So What, Now What, where we connect you with a global expert on the issue of the day, and in just 5 minutes, you become the expert. Today, I am very pleased to welcome Dr. Udo Fluck. Dr. Fluck is the Director of Global and Cultural Affairs at Arts Missoula. Greeting, Udo. Thank you very much for joining. How are you?
Hello, Chris. I am well. Thank you for having me on.
Well, we couldn't be happier. We've had a German election over at the end of last week. And for many of us, Angela Merkel has been the face of Germany for nearly 16 years now. But her union bloc was defeated in the general election. And although Angela Merkel herself was not up for the election, her party was defeated. So I wonder if you could help our viewers understand what is happening and what this might mean for us.
Sure, absolutely, Chris. I would be happy to. As you said, Angela Merkel was the first female chancellor in Germany. She did not run again for election, and this was actually the first time in post-war history that an incumbent chancellor did not seek re-election. Sunday's election did not only signal the end of an era for Germany, but also for Europe in a wider sense. For over a decade, Chancellor Merkel was not just the Chancellor of Germany, but effectively the leader of Europe. She steered the country and the continent through crisis. In the process, helped Germany become Europe's leading power for the first time since World War II. So the outcome of the election this past Sunday is significant in many ways. When you look at the German party system and what happened on Sunday, the fact that the Social Democratic Party beat the Christian Democratic Union, the party that Angela Merkel is a member of, and they had 25.7% of the vote. That is a very narrow margin. As a matter of fact, the margin was so slim, it was 1.6% in Sunday's election. So what that means is that the Christian Democratic Union had 24.1%. So think about that, 24.1% versus 25.7%. That is very narrow. The progressive environmentalist Green Party made significant gains since 2017 and the election then, and recorded their best ever result with 14.8%. The Free Democratic Party won 11.5%. And support for the far-right Alternative for Germany party appeared roughly unchanged with about 10.2 or 3%, while the Left Party appeared to be hovering on the 5% threshold needed to win seats in the German parliament. So when you look at a majority that you would need to run the country, it's clear that you need to have some kind of a coalition. In other words, you need to form a government with another party, is in essence what it comes down to. And so that's pretty significant because you normally don't have that in many other countries. When you only have a two-party system, it's one or the other. In Germany, because there are a lot of parties, in the end, the winner can actually pick, another strong party that didn't win, but in combination then get over the 50% hurdle. So when we really look at this and what that means is that in the past, we oftentimes had a much higher percentage. So it was a question of going into a coalition with one other party. But the close vote outcome means that for the first time, really since the founding of the Federal Republic 72 years ago, 3 parties will be needed to form a coalition. So that's a very new development in essence that was never there before. The Social Democrats must team up with other parties, let's say the Green Party, as well as the business-friendly Free Democratic Party, to join the next government. And that would be one scenario. There's a whole bunch of them that are actually right now shared with the larger community. But I tell you, at some point, your head is spinning because you look at all these possible combinations. It is possible that if the winning party fails to get others on board, that the party that placed second could wind up leading the country, because then basically the structure would fall apart and you would have the second runner up. So you would be back at Merkel's party, basically. And the other thing is that when we look at the 2017 German election, it took more than 5 months for a new government to be sworn in. So this time around, it will likely take weeks, if not months, of negotiations before we know the political future of Germany. Now, how is this relevant? And that would be the other point. Now that we talked about the election itself and the election outcome, why and how is this relevant? And perhaps why should the US care about the German election? Or how might this even trickle down to Montana or Missoula as a city? Well, couple points here. Germany is Europe's biggest and strongest economy, and Germany is Europe's most industrialized and populous country. So Germany is one of the United States' major trading partners. And right there, when you think about it, in 2019, just to throw out a big number here, in 2019, Germans invested over $500 billion in foreign direct investment in the United States. So Germany is one of the United States' closest and strongest ally. Germany is the United States' main European trading partner. And so German-American cooperation on international political, economic, and security matters is critical to the country's continued prosperity and to the stability of the international system when you really look at that as a whole. So the United States and Germany work side by side in many ways to maintain peace and freedom, for example, but Germany plays an important role in NATO's core mission of collective defense. So in the political arena, Germany stands at the center of Europe's affairs and plays a key leadership role, not only in the G7 and the G20, but also, as I just said, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO, the European Union, the Organization on Security and Cooperation in Europe, and the United Nations. So there's a lot of reasons on this close connection that a lot of it, of course, is historic and of cultural nature because of the important historic and cultural ties, the shared experiences, the values, and the interests that both countries have. But most Americans claiming German or partial German ancestry than any other national origin also plays into that, because one could argue that there are a lot of German roots within the United States. And so that, again, brings the two countries closer. So there's a lot of history. There is a lot that we have in common. There are probably a few things that in recent years we have seen differently. But I think that's now with a new leadership in Germany and with a fairly new leadership in the United States, there is hope for prosperity. There's hope for moving into into a new era. And there are certainly a lot of things that need to be tackled. And so tackling them together, makes it much easier than tackling them alone. And so Germans, I think, are just excited to have the United States back in the game, so to say. And I would hope that the feeling is mutual.
Well, Udo, thank you so much for that. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a more succinct kind of analysis of what happened in the German elections, but equally important is this connection that you made between German and European investment in the United States and the NATO security arrangements that, of course, have Germany in the center, both things that are really critical to American foreign policy and our own interests here in the United States. So Udo, thank you so much for bringing that to this show and to our viewers. Let me quickly thank our sponsors for this program, the Dennis and Phyllis Washington Foundation, Allegiance, and Stockman Bank, who help us bring this and other programs to you. Dr. Udo Fluck, thank you once again for joining us today. We really appreciate your insight, and thanks for all of you for viewing. Be well. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you, Chris. Bye-bye.